morning, everybody. Nice crowd for the board of directors meeting. That means there's something interesting on the agenda this morning. All right, while you're grabbing your donuts that our USI brokers so kindly bought this morning, I'm going to give you my lousy joke. Okay. Did you hear about my door? Thank you. Some people understood me. D-O-O-R.
Oh, door.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. So, anyway, it was sticking. So I put some jelly on it, and now it's a door jam. All right, with that, if we would kindly do roll call.
President Daniels. Vice President Gundry. Treasurer Resnick. Director Bardell. Here. Director Harnois.
Door. Oh, I'm sorry, here.
Director Martin is absent. Director Ricketts.
Present.
Director Shaw. Madam President, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you so much. We'll call the meeting to order, and if you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, our first order of business is to approve the February 7th, 2025 Federation Board draft meeting minutes. I move for someone to make a motion to accept. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Ray. Discussion. Any changes? Any additions? Anybody care? All right, all in favor? Anybody opposed? So moved.
That's the way.
All right, management reports. Corey, let's start the morning off on your side.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
It is here. All right. As you may have already heard, Mr. Paul Stern is no longer with First Service Residential, but I'm happy to be here, acting as GM in the interim. Yesterday we had a fantastic turnout in yesterday's mandatory 4-hour board certification course with guest speaker attorney Dan Greenberg. A whopping 318 board members pre-registered alone. The room was full. It was fantastic. It was very nice to see. FYI, First Service is also offering a free online on-demand certification course for those who couldn't attend the in-person meeting. So we'll be sending out additional communications so that all can be compliant with the state's new board member education requirements. Again, special thanks to my team, special thanks to Matt, his team, for helping make that happen as well. It was, I thought it was a fantastic success. Let's see, moving on, please reach out to your CAM if you do have any questions regarding training and meetings, financials, Avid, etc. Of course, also remember to update any emergency contact info, change an email, you know the drill, phone, address, etc. Just by calling the First Service office directly at the 813-642-8990 number, and the KPSCC website has all the details as well. In February, there were 32 transfers and 28 leases, compared to last year's 28 transfers and 22 leases. So uptick there. Landscaping, so the rebid for lawn maintenance is ongoing. The bid deadline is passed, negotiations are underway. The performance grading for March has been completed, also with the results posted at kpscc.com. Reminder to please not interfere or disrupt the landscapers as they are working. If you have an issue, please contact your POC who will contact the landscape specialist per the protocol. We heard about a disturbing issue that happened several months ago, apparently, from one of the landscapers, that there was racial slurs being used, which obviously there's absolutely no tolerance and no room for that whatsoever. So obviously escalate any of those issues that as they come up. Waste management, as predicted, there were a few minor hiccups during the swap from FCC to Republic. There's been some confusion with the number of recycle bins. The current bins are larger than the old ones, so there's now a smaller quantity of bins overall. Of course, there are some associations, however, who have asked for more bins, especially considering what season we're in. But we're in the process of auditing the number of bins on site and are in communication with the vendor to address further. So I've been tracking those who have requested additional bins, and more to come on that. Finally, some really good news to share on CTA. I know everyone's really sick of hearing about the Corporate Transparency Act. So on March 2nd, the U.S. Department of the Treasury issued a press release that not only will it not enforce any penalties or fines associated with the beneficial ownership information reporting rule under the existing regulatory guidelines, but it will further not enforce any penalties against U.S. citizens or domestic reporting companies or their beneficial owners after the forthcoming rule changes take effect either. The Treasury Department will further be issuing a proposed rulemaking that will narrow the scope of the rule to foreign reporting companies only. So based on that statement, there's no plan to impose a penalty on any entity that has not filed the BOI report, as we've been hearing so much about lately. The initial reactions of attorneys representing your managed properties are that it is not likely that cooperatives, condominiums, or HOAs will be required to file these reports in the future, thankfully. However, as always, we recommend that you consult with the attorneys who represent your association for a formal opinion. First Service will obviously continue to monitor this situation in case there's any unexpected change when the rulemaking is completed. But good news overall.
Hey Corey, in regards to that, so that recommendation from First Service, did that come from corporate legal of First Services side?
Yes, it just came out.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So we'll make sure mass communications are going out on that as well.
Okay, great, because I mean, if you're the management company and that's coming from your legal corporation, I don't understand why every single association would have to contact their attorney. Since the attorney's already stated that right now that's where we stand.
Sure,
Yeah.
understandable.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you for that. It changes every week.
Right. Thank you.
All right, Matt?
Good morning, everyone. Diane, would you like to do the financial reporting first? I think Dan is on the line. Dan, you've been given potentially explicit instructions to do
Dan,
this
are you
very
there?
quickly.
You there, Dan?
I'm here.
All right,
Yep, do you hear me?
I hear you.
Very good.
All right, we're ready to go.
I'll go
Warp
quickly then. I
speed.
understand there's a full day, so I will go quickly here. I hope you have your 8-page packet in front of you. Of course, your first page is a statement of financial position. Today we're talking about through 9 months, 3/4 of the year, reporting the 12/31 results. I'll just summarize basically by category along the right-hand column. As you can see, the first subtotal, total cash is up about $165,000. That's good. Positive, and according to plan. Total other current assets is up about $114,000 from the last year end. That's split pretty evenly between the prepaid section and construction work in process, as you can see, scanning that right-hand column up and down. Going on down, you can see that total fixed assets has decreased by just the postings for the accumulated depreciation year to date. Of course, we don't capitalize assets in the middle of the year so that they can be compared as they are completed to budget during the year. And scanning to the second half of the page, total current liability subtotal. You can see that has increased by about $116,000. That is pretty typical for the December 31st quarter end because it's a high activity as opposed to 3/31 when activity is going off a little bit. Most of that is trade payables and accrued expenses, which is basically sold tickets for events that are going to occur in the future, and we have not recognized the revenue yet. Continuing down the page, you can see that your long-term debt continues to decrease by the monthly payments that are made against the loan. Total of that first line in that section, $1,347,000 lower for the year over those 9 months. And of course, that subtotal is a subtotal of some other GAAP entries that are generally accepted accounting principle entries that make it the adjustment a little bit funky there. And of course, your total liabilities and assets agrees to the total of the assets that is in the middle of the page, you can see. Let's go to page 2 and then quickly to 3. 2 is just a reminder, this is the consolidating statement of financial position. So that is just subtotaling the departments, and it agrees to the left-hand column of the prior page. Looking at page 3, this page, of course, compares your 9-month results to budget. We're no longer comparing to prior year, we're comparing it to the plan. The right-hand column is the variance column. Just looking at the subtotals, you can see revenues are up by about $106,000 over plan. Scanning down, total operating expenses are actually under budget. So you add those two together and they have about $170,000 favorable operations. Income loss from operations is favorable to budget by that amount. Continuing to the next section, other items, you can see we did have $160,000 of board-approved non-budgeted items. Of course, those don't have a budget, so that is going to be an unfavorable variance. But the next subtotal, change in net assets, reveals a positive number of about $33,000. So all of that is good. That means that you paid for those special projects out of operations by favorable operations. And of course, the same subtotal carries to the bottom, since the cash flow adjustments very rarely have an exception to or variance to budget. Continuing to page 4. Page 4 is just your consolidating statement of cash activities. So that carries all the detail to a total, and of course that total agrees to the prior page. So unless there's questions, I won't go into all that detail. Next 4 pages compare your actual versus budget by department. Unless there's a question, I'm on the opening corner only, which gives the year-to-date variance to budget. You can see for the trust, page 5, you've got a negative variance of $136,000, and that is made up completely of the board-approved non-budgeted items, that $160,000 that we talked about just a moment ago. It's partially offset by a favorable variance in interest earnings up in that top section in the right-hand corner of about $24,000. So overall, that's a good result, since we already talked about the fact that the operations offset those additional expenditures. Going to page 6, here's where your favorable result is that paid for those capital items. Bottom right-hand corner, you can see $157,000 and change favorable to budget. That's made up of a myriad of favorable variances offset by just a few negative variances as you scan up and down the right-hand column. And you can look at those line items and see if you have any questions for me. Otherwise, that's a very favorable result. Turning to page 7, this is the security department. Bottom right-hand corner, you do have a negative variance. It's only $4,225 though. Of course, this being a much smaller department, much less dollars at risk on the line. But we did make up some of that in the third quarter, so hopefully that will continue, and that will end up positive at year-end. Pretty good result overall. Page 8 is your transportation department. And of course, a positive number in the bottom right-hand corner is a positive thing. That's a $16,344 favorable variance in that department. looking very good through 9 months of the year. Any questions?
No questions, Dan? No questions, Dan? Oh, good. And thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on. We have a very busy meeting, so we're gonna have a short treasurer's report. Oh, did I forget him?
I was hoping to get away with it, okay. Thanks so much for reminding her, Angela, appreciate that. Quick version of what Dan just said, through 9 months, 157,000 positive variance to budget. It actually would have been about another $50,000 higher, but we incurred in the third quarter some Hurricane Milton expenses that we paid out of operations, so it would impact the community's bottom line. So again, $157,000 positive variance through 9 months. On to the report. I'll go kind of high level, won't read everything. Total gym usage, over 12,000 visits between 2020 and the South Club for the month of February. Spa and salon, about $29,000 worth of business. Food and beverage, phenomenal numbers. Total South Club food and beverage sales, $273,000 for the month, which is a 10% increase year over year. I know Eddie and the team have been working very hard on that, and we appreciate your efforts there. Of note, total Paradise Palm bar sales, 26,000. I know Diane spent 2 there herself, the remaining 24 is the rest of the community, but again, it's another example of, we had some nice weather, the weather turned a little bit for us, and when you have 70, 80 degree temperatures, folks want to enjoy the pool and have a beverage out there. So great job, Eddie and the team, congratulations on that. Guest passes up 30%, $12,000 in guest passes for February. Outdoor pool lighting project. Thankfully, this is the last time I'm going to report on this. The county approved the night swimming permitting process, and the signage has been updated as of this morning. We received word late yesterday, so that's good news. South Club flat deck roof repair project, that project has been completed. Hurricane Milton Land Trust asset damage insurance update. Quick version is the tennis courts and the pickleball area court claim was denied. The decision is being actively disputed with the insurance company now. The issues arise from the wording of the deductible in the policy, which is specified per location rather than per building, despite most locations not being classified as buildings. The terminology is used interchangeably throughout the policy, and the plan is to continue to push through a written clarification from the underwriter to be sent to the adjuster so we can all sleep and wait for the answer. We'll still wait. That's quick. That's the message. So we've actually transitioned over to Brian and the team over there, and they're going to be helping push this through to the finish line. Won't bore everybody with all the behind the scenes on it. We're still waiting on the repairs for the South Club Entertainment roof, the shade structures, and vinyl fencing. So all of those have been contracted with vendors. We just need them to be able to come out and finish those projects. Winter Series shows. The second shows have added over $145,000 of revenue on contract costs of $45,000. We had over 1,300 attend the James Taylor Jimmy Buffett tributes for the matinee and the evening shows. The Divas of Soul has been added in April. Winter Series 2026, dear God, we're already talking about that. Renewals are starting now, beginning July 1st. Kings Point residents will have the opportunity to purchase new full series tickets, so you'll see that in your email blasts and flyers, and that continues to be a popular program. Everybody, I think, should have a listing of all the upcoming activities, events. Again, if you're bored here in Kings Point, it's because you want to be. Everybody should have that on their table. Thank you, Denny, for doing that. That's North Club, Main Club, South Clubhouse. Let's go tram services. Mileage, 3,100 miles driven in the month of February. Gate operations, 8,000 phone calls. Security patrol miles driven, 3,800. Of note, we had a situation the other night where an individual claiming to be an Uber came up to the gates around 11 o'clock, gave an address of an individual. We didn't have to call in our gate employee denied access, and we are currently working on identifying the license plate and tag with Flock, and with, I think I saw Jeff Marion here maybe somewhere, unless he wasn't in here. I could be seeing things. Point is, we're going to investigate further, but the individual did not gain entry to the community, and I just want to thank our team at the gates for being mindful of the community. One last note, they've gone through 6,167 replacement decals, and a number of them that are sitting on my desk have been confiscated from individuals who no longer reside in Kings Point. So thank you, Pete and team.
Is Pete here? Yes. Where are you, Pete? Pete, thank you so much. We really appreciate your devotion to our community and doing the best to keep us all safe. Thank you so much, Pete. Good. Thank you, Matt. Okay, all right. Richard, you got a little report for us on the treasury report?
Thank you. This is not a full reporting month. The next full reporting month should be in May for the fiscal year end. But real quick, our investments were down $38,000. The normal pull down of the Spectrum funds is 46, so we made that up with some cash interest that came in during the month. The total interest, cash plus accrued $9,100. Transfer fees were pretty low in January, and this is month of January that I'm giving you. They were only $6,600. Given that we had additional transfers in February, that should be looking a little better when I see those numbers. And then on our expense side, the one thing to note is that we are now paying estimated income taxes. So that will kick our expense up a little bit. The accounting here is the taxes looks like a regular expense, and those of you who are used to looking at financials, it's very often below a pre-tax income line. That's not the way the reporting works here. So I am hoping that my successor will be able to break out the tax payments for everybody so that it's understood how much we're paying. But we paid, for this quarter, we paid $15,000. And that was a January payment. The next payment will be in April. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard. Okay, so we have a lot to do, and the next matter we need to do is just inadvertently, I think I forgot to tell Arceli to put the insurance on the agenda for today, so we need to make a motion to add the approval of the 2025-2026 bulk property insurance policy to the agenda. Move for someone. Thank you, John. Wow. I'm already 5 steps ahead. I'm already thinking about introducing John for. My mind goes. All right, Jim, thank you.
I know I'm going off the board, but don't forget me yet.
Second. Thank you. Ray. All right, all in favor? All right, thank you. Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, let's do the open forum. Are you raising your hand as opposed to?
No, he was. The insurance man was.
Oh, thanks, Adam. All right, anybody up for the open forum? We are so undone.
It's the donuts.
Take a sugar hit.
Anybody want to come up, got anything to say on the agenda? Okay. All right, we have no unfinished business, so then let's go ahead and do new business. Let's go over an approval of the 25-26 Federation Board meeting schedule. What? Wait, we got too much going on. And your committee is part of the big thing here, all right?
I needed to.
You don't need nothing. You're in good shape. You're in good shape.
I wanted to highlight B.
You want to highlight me? Go ahead. Shirley wants to highlight me. We can always, whenever it's something good, we go ahead. They'll be okay with it.
Hello, okay. Really quick, the Health and Safety Committee met last week, and I wanted to let everybody know that Pete has secured more lighting at the front gate, better lighting up above and on the posts, and I just wanted to give him a big thank you.
We're gonna make today Pete Day. He deserves it. All right. So looking at the schedule, this year, next year, the only one that's very different is the meeting would be on July 11th because the first Friday of the month is July 4th. So that's the only major change that would be different than the first Friday.
What's the last one, Diane? March 27th?
March 27th,
That's a strange one.
a strange one.
That's the annual
It's the annual meeting,
I thought that
which
was-
is always the last Friday of the month, of that month,
Oh,
of March.
the organization.
Yeah,
Got it.
you're welcome. Okay, we'll move for someone to make the motion to approve. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, you got it? Oh, all right, well,
I don't know where
we, Jim
we're at. Morning.
and Steve.
Or John or Steve.
Got it.
Oh, and I was not drinking last night, I swear. I didn't eat the
This
donuts.
morning.
I'm just a mess. All right, so outside of that, all right, any discussion on the dates? Anybody like to change the location to like, a good bar or something, or restaurant? A cruise? All right, if there's no discussion, all those in favor to accepting the dates as noted for the Federation Board meetings for 2025-26? In favor?
Aye.
All right, anybody opposed? All right, so moved. Next up, the Federation Board candidates. We actually have 3 out of the 4 candidates for the Federation Board, and we are very happy to have them here today. John Poor is the candidate for District 6. Let's see. I don't know your districts. Let's see. Joanne Smith is District 3, and Penny Hott is District 4. All right. So we're going to let them introduce themselves to you. They'll do a much better job than I will at this point.
Diane,
Joe-
you forgot one.
I did?
Yep, Diane Daniels
Oh,
is
yeah.
also
Yeah.
on the board.
Yeah, that's correct. My District 5 is also, I'm going to be back. All right. John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
start with the minute.
Well, this is how it goes, John. You've got to follow me. You never know who I'm going to call on.
You don't need it.
I broke it. Thank you, good job. Well, my name is John Poor. I've been a resident here since 2013. People tell me that I'm insane for doing this, but I guess time will tell. I was, just to tell you a little bit about me, I was an engineer with GM for 35 years. I sit on a couple other boards here. I sit on my association board and on the KPW board. So I kind of understand what's going on, but I really don't have a true understanding of what happens here. That's what I'm hoping to find out. Being an engineer, I like to know things. I like to know how stuff works. So that's my intent here, is to understand how things really work around here. Is there any questions for me?
What kind of engineer were you?
Electrical.
Thank you,
Next.
John, and welcome. Okay, Penny?
I wrote mine all out because
Ah,
I've
there
been
you
working
go.
a garage sale since 6 o'clock this morning, and I'll put a plug in for our KP garage sale. Please come to the cornhole booth in the banquet room. We're right in the middle of the banquet room, and there's lots of good stuff, a lot of people setting stuff up. So I am soon going to be representing District 4. Angela has done a fantastic job the last few years, and I have big shoes to fill for District 4. My husband and I moved here into Highgate 4 in 2014, actually 11 years ago this month. And when we first got here and we went to orientation, they told us that there's going to be so much stuff here to do that if you ever get bored here, it's your fault. And we have found that to be true. We got so involved in a lot of things, we met a lot of friends and a lot of acquaintances. I'm just teasing, John's a good friend. But I retired from a 33-year corrections profession in all around. I worked for the state of New Mexico, and then I went with private corrections. And I was the warden of the women's prison, and I've been assistant warden at a lot of prisons, adult male prisons, where we had 2,300 inmates and over 350 staff. So,
So Penny, you'll know how to corral all of that.
well, I don't know about that, but I do have, I gave that up, I'm retired. So during my corrections career, I served also in several capacities at the national level for the American Correctional Association. They're the ones that set the standards that all facilities, all genres of corrections have to follow. I was also an auditor for them, and then when I retired, I became an auditor with our company. So I am used to rules, I'm used to RFPs, I'm used to contracts, I'm used to budgets, but I don't like to make the budgets, I just like spending the money. So, and I'm also used to sitting in on teams, leading teams, and participating in teams. And I think through my career and all my life experiences, what I've learned is that listening and being fair are the key ingredients to success. So I want to bring my experiences and I want to bring what I've learned to the board here and to our community. My husband passed 7 months ago, and I had so many people ask me, are you moving away? Because I guess a lot of people do that. But the first person that asked me that, I went, why? I never even thought of moving away. Who would want to move away from here? This is a great place to live. You got a lot, and it's true. You know, where else can you go all over the place and get everything you need in your golf cart? So, so anyway, that's me. I'm here to stay for the rest of my life, and I hope that I can contribute back into the community.
Thank you, Penny. All right, and then we have Joanne Smith from District 3.
I'm not sure I can top that one. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. We've been here since 2014. We're snowbirds, basically. The last couple years, we've been here a lot longer than the 4 to 6 months. Friends came to me and said, hey, why don't you get involved in the board since you like putting your nose in everything that's going on? So I said, okay, I'll give it a shot and find out what happens, and here I am, because who knew? My background is, I worked for a large corporation, and I was a national admin manager, which meant that I crisscrossed the country constantly. And I did auditing for all of the carbon that we sold to the oil refineries throughout the United States. So I'm used to contracts, I'm used to numbers, and kind of what happens is when I hear numbers bandied about, they just start automatically adding up in my head, and then I start throwing out questions and ask things. I'm from District 3, going to go out and learn my whole entire territory. If anybody needs anything, I'm available. And I also have to tell you that Willie said I'm supposed to say that I live with the greatest guy that ever lived. That's my story.
Thank you very much, Joanne. So we have three motivated and eager representatives, and we hope we don't scare them away. But we know you're going to do a good job. So we look forward to working with you after the organizational meeting at the end of March. Okay, District 2 right now is vacant. No one put in to serve on the board from that district, so the Federation Board is proactively seeking a candidate right now that we can appoint. So we are working on that, and once we have one, we will let you guys know. All right. You're very irreplaceable. Yeah, just so to remind everybody, Jim Gundry and Tom Ricketts have served their full 4 years on this board. This will be their last Federation Board meeting. They have been an outstanding mentors for all of us here, and their experience has been just very vast. And we can't thank them enough for the time that they have served on this board, and we're really going to miss them very much. So please give them a hand for their service. And Richard Resnick and Angela Mays have finished their first full term, but due to family reasons, they are unable to continue on the board. So we're going to miss them very much. In the 2 years that I've been on the board, getting to know all of these individuals has just been amazing, and I can tell you that we are really like a family. I don't know if any other board could ever say that, but this current board members have been outstanding. We get along so well. And listen, we have disagreements. We have to. You have to debate issues because everyone has an opinion, but we do it with a high deal of respect, and we always leave the room laughing, and whatever was left in the room was left in the room, and we get stuff done. That's the most important thing for all of you and for the rest of the residents. So thank you, all of you, for what you've done for this board, and we're going to miss you dearly. So thank you. Okay, here we go, the big item. The approval of the 25-26 bulk property insurance policy. I move to someone to make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Stephen. Ray, second. Okay. All right, we're going to have the discussion, and we have our wonderful brokers, Adam and Brian, here. And before Adam grabs the mic, I just want to give you guys a little bit of history about Ray Shaw. They start this process like last July, okay, to work on these quotes for the insurance policy for the property. And most of you know that Ray Shaw has been very vocal in regards to it and his experience and background in property and casualty insurance. He has an extensive career in that regard, and he was excellent at it. And he has brought that experience to this board that we appreciate so much. I'm only on the health side of insurance, so I know nothing about property and casualty, and having Ray here by my side is just immeasurable. It's priceless. And he has worked unbelievable amount of hours making sure that the residents of Kings Point are going to get the best quote for this property. And by working with the excellent brokers at USI, who Adam and Brian work for, Brian's the head of the team between Brian and Adam and Ray and his insurance committee. You are not going to believe what they have done to bring to this community for next year. Ray, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Everything that you have done and what you're doing. All right, Adam, I'm ready.
All right, where do you want me?
Get up here.
Right here?
Yeah.
I don't like my back.
That's all right, don't worry about it.
I'm an
We got darts, we're gonna plug in your ass. Go ahead.
My family's ex-Jewish mafia, so we don't like our backs to the door. Good morning, how's everybody doing today? Well, I know I'm very excited. I couldn't barely sleep last night because I was so excited to come here today and present the final numbers and coverages that we have been able to negotiate for you this year. It's exciting. I don't get this excited. Been doing it for 30 years. So probably, I would say this is probably the top 5 excited I've ever been. And I'm saying that from my bottom of my heart as well. One quick thing with Penny, though. My 2 favorite movies are one of mine is Shawshank Redemption, so I don't know if you helped write that movie, but that was an excellent movie. And one other thing I'm really excited about is my name tag right here. So, Arceli, thank you.
No, that's it.
Oh, Diane, thank you, Diane. This has been 4 years in the making, I want you to know. So, most of you don't know that Rod and I work for USI Insurance. We are the largest insurance broker of condos in the state. The majority, all your property insurance renews on April 15th. So that's the big day. Ray and his team and Diane, all of us have been working extremely hard to negotiate the best deal and coverage through the most financially stable carrier in the marketplace. Ray and I, for the past, 4 months, I've been really digging in, talking on the weekends, probably almost every weekend the past 4 weeks, on what's going on in this bid process. So there's been a lot of work in the background, and I want to thank Ray as well, because Ray is really, I really bounced things off of Ray and wanted to make sure that I was reacting the way that he wanted me to. So he's been a really good sounding board for me, because we were in some different negotiations, and this year the marketplace has changed. We hasn't seen this marketplace in 5 or 10 years where we've been able to get other bids and negotiate with the carriers. So it's been interesting, and obviously it's a big account, so a lot of carriers do want it. So, but again, I do want to thank Ray for everything he's done, and professionally as well. And Diane. Diane and Ray did come to the office, and we did meet in person with 2 of the finalists on the property program, and it wasn't easy, and we didn't go for the cheapest price as well. We made a lot of coverage, and I know everybody's interested in price, okay? And I know price is an important factor, but the other factors are coverage and other commitments that we were able to get from our current carrier. So at the end of the day, even though we did have a lower bid, the association decided to approve to stay with Heritage. And again, not just based on price, they did make some other commitments to us as well. 2 other commitments they made to us is, 1, they're going to offer us an exclusive HO6 and HO4 program. They're not doing that now currently in the state of Florida, so that's something that we're going to be able to offer. Not now, again, we're going to roll it out to every homeowner in the community, an opportunity to purchase homeowners insurance from Heritage. The other thing they did offer us is a rate guarantee. So they made some parameters around that rate guarantee. For instance, if a Category 3 strikes Florida, or if we run a negative on a non-cat losses. But if we don't want those parameters, they did offer us a rate guarantee as well, which we've never had it before either. So those 2 things were significant. Plus also there's claims handling. They've done, thanks to Brian, who's been amazing, him and Mike on the claims side, have been amazing. And they've done a great job on claims as well. I think they paid over $7 million of claims as well. So all those factors came in deciding why we wanted to stay with Heritage. All right, so did I miss anything, right? Did I miss anything? All right, so let's talk about the numbers. Are you ready? It's a small increase, not to you. Okay, so do want to 2 caveats. 1 caveat, we're still working on the excess crime, cyber, and excess cyber liability. Those come to only $50,000, so they're not going to be a needle mover. So those are not firm yet. But one significant change we did make, even with the premium reduction, we're going from a 5% hurricane deductible that we currently have back down to a 3%. So if you think about that, that's 2% of $1 billion that you have less exposure on your balance sheet. Okay, let's talk about numbers. Numbers are currently, right now, the total premium for all the coverages is $8,607,644.29. That's what you're currently paying now. Okay, our budget projection was $8,917,000. We were flat at budget, but then after Milton and Helene hit, we kind of bumped it up. The quotes that we have finalized, except for those small ones I talked about, is $6,785,549.34. So we are $2,131,450.66 under budget, and $1,822,094.95 less than you're paying now, with all the things we got and the lower deductibles. So don't spend it all in one place. So we're excited. This is great news. And we were also able to keep the carports as well. So there was a lot of discussions with the carports, because obviously those are the ones that suffered most of the losses, the small. So we were able to keep the carports as well. Any questions? What? All right. Well, this is, I think, probably, is this not the single largest budget item in your purchase? So from a budgeting standpoint, you have your largest single item just went down 21%, less than last year, and 30% less than, 31% less than budget. Yes. Yes. Correct. Because obviously a lot of these insurance companies don't want to cover carports because they suffer losses from minor winds. So, but we were able to keep them. And also though, there was one other thing I did forget to mention. In our final negotiations, we got them down on actually another $100,000, and we got them to increase the values by 2%.
Wow.
So they increased the replacement costs by 2%, or about $20 million, which is roughly another $100,000 in savings. So next year when we do for a new appraisal, the values won't jump up as much because we're already increasing this year too. So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of good work on Ray and the boards, and again, great news. I don't know what else to say. It's fantastic for you guys. Roofs are still replacement costs. Full replacement cost, not actual cash value, regardless of how old the roof is. If it's damaged and it exceeds your 3% deductible now, you will get replacement costs. One other thing is I do want to thank Brian for all the work he's done on the claims. He's been amazing. Him and Mike, unbelievable job. Mike's unbelievable too.
Actually, I think it's the best in the state that
Without a
any
doubt.
community had to deal with.
I agree. I mean, we wouldn't be here if we weren't good, but the proof's in the pudding, and again, Brian and Mike have been awesome. One other thing I do want to point out, we do not handle the master insurance now. So we were not part of the per location, per building negotiation on that contract. Since then, the board has hired us to handle that renewal. Heritage has agreed to write the property insurance this year for the master.
Sorry, just to be clear, land trust.
For the land trust.
Land trust.
Call it
Land trust, sorry, the land trust. So we're now the broker of the land trust, and one of the things where Ray and all of us were able to negotiate, they're going to write the land trust. So the deductibles and coverage are going to be much better than you have now through a layered insurance program. So going forward, we will be the insurance professional for that as well. And that's another concession that Heritage made as well.
Thank you so much, Adam and Brian and Mike. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all you guys do. And I know you have sleepless nights from the hurricane and everything. Mike, you were incredible with you and your team here, helping everybody here on this property during that storm. And even Fatima was here right after the presentation for 2 days to help people that didn't put in a claim or anything like that. So you guys are amazing. I am so happy for the continued relationship. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right. Ray has something he'd like to say to all of you.
A lot of what I was going to say was already said, so I'll make this a little shorter. But everything went extremely well, and it's basically because of the brokers. What I'd like to talk to you about is this, and I actually wrote it out, which now you're going to discover I can't read very well, and I'm going in for eye surgery for cataracts on Monday, so bear with me. The total claim cost for the community from the storms to date is $6,695,949. Carport claims from Hurricane Milton amounted to $3,015,866. This amount will go up some, but not a significant amount. In fact, Mike was in here earlier this morning, and he is going to be, I think, working now with Bedford, possibly. If you have any possibility of a claim, and you haven't reported it yet, please get it to your CAM or your president. Let the First Service know that it's there so the claim can be handled. You have up to 2 years, but the sooner you do it, the better off you'll be. The carport portion of the loss was 45% of the total loss in Kings Point. Yet the value of carports represents a much smaller percentage of the total values insured by the program, so carport premiums will be going up. The cost increase will only affect those areas with carports. The people or communities with carports will have to absorb this increase. With that said, there will still be a reduction in the monthly cost for insurance for carport communities. I have not broken out the exact amount these communities' insurance premiums will go down this coming year because I don't have enough information to make that calculation. It will be applied fairly and proportionally to each individual community. Now, the good news, and you already know what most of the good news is, we did drop $2,131,450 and I guess 66 cents. I was going to keep the 66 cents, but now it's public knowledge, so you all get to keep it. From the budget amount that we had come up with in October of this past year, that represents a 31.41% of this represents a drop in the cost of the community of 31.41% from the budgeted premium. Or, in another way of saying is, this is what we can expect is approximately a $31.81 per month per unit reduction in cost. What your communities will do with that money is up to the communities. The budgets have been presented. It is my understanding, however, that if a community would choose to change that budget, it still can be done anytime during the next year. Or you can keep it in capital expenditures or reserves or whatever you want, but that'll be your individual community's decision. The Federation Board does not make any decision in that area. The difference is, there is some difference between the amount that's going down in property and the amount that the overall program is going to be going down. And in large part, that's because of an increase in liability. We do not have a liability problem in the Kings Point area. The difference is due to some other lines of insurance, as I just said, particularly in the area of general liability. I'm guessing you can thank all of the attorneys with their ads you see during the news for this increase. 79% of the property liability suits in the United States are filed in Florida. We represent 8% of the population of the country. Florida leads the nation in personal injury cases per capita with 1,237% more filings than the national average. The national average is 9.53 claims per 100,000. Florida is 127 claims per 100,000. Or of all the claims for personal injury filed in the U.S. last year, 31% came out of the state of Florida. That's why we're paying such high premiums here for both auto and for liability. The rest of what I was going to write is pretty much been said by Adam, but there are some things I'd like to say. I would like to thank the Insurance Committee for their work during this year. This committee involves 3 people currently: Mark Nacky, John Poor, who will probably be coming off the Insurance Committee now, and Maxine Blake. Additionally, the committee had one other person resign due to family issues. That is Marion Kelso. So I would like to thank her for her help during the time she was on it. I would also like to thank our 2 brokers, Brian Burns and Adam Lopan. I said I would get it right and I didn't anyway. I'll just go with that.
Okay.
You 2 have been a huge part of the premium reduction due to your efforts. Finally, I would like to thank the people working for Heritage and for us. The claims team led by Mike Bacho and Fatima Skelski was incredible. You came through for us, and I am, and this community is thankful. Finally, both Heritage and USI have been and will be very instrumental in the ongoing development of our own personal lines insurance agency, which he was referring to with the HO6 and HO4 policy. I think the HO3 though, not HO4. This will provide large sums of free money in time. Adam and Brian with Heritage are developing these policies, and they are unique to us. No one else can buy them in the state. Additionally, they are looking for other sources of additional insurance companies to write auto, umbrella, and other coverages for our agency. Once the agency is taken over by us, all the remaining commissions will be staying in the community to offset costs that would otherwise show up on your monthly dues after business expenses to the agency. Prior to us taking over the agency, we will be sharing these commission dollars with USI, who will be running and servicing our residents. It has been asked, are we self-insuring? Absolutely not. We are in no way ever going to be a community that's going to be able of doing that. We'd have to have hundreds of millions of dollars of assets available. So no, we are not self-insuring. We're going to own our own agency. Congratulations to all of you. You will soon be business owners. I guess the only other thing I had was, are there any questions?
They're happy.
They're very happy.
Roger, you got a question?
Yes.
Come on up.
Richard, the premium gets paid via a loan, correct?
That is
And that loan.
Yeah, normally, yes.
Okay, and that loan's gonna be roughly $2 million less. So therefore, there's gonna be some additional savings relative to the loan amount interest, is that correct?
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay, very good. It's just another point to add. The other thing is that I gotta speak about Brian and Ray for a minute. That hurricane happened on a Wednesday. I called Brian because he had left the area, smart of him, on his way back, and got him to come to our community, because we got hit pretty good, and actually sit in on a meeting on that Saturday to go over what we were gonna do with remediation, etc., and a plan going forward with the roofer and the board. He took his time away to do that right off the bat. And ever since then, I've had him on speed dial. And he has been fantastic, as has Ray, all times of the day and night. And Mike has just been fantastic. So I just want to thank you guys for Oakley Green and what you've done.
Everybody happy now? Yeah? Okay. All right, that's it on the new business. We have any good and welfare? Oh, you have a question, Doris? Come on up. Okay.
Call the question.
Yeah? Oh, I'm sorry. We're so excited we didn't even do the vote. Hold on, Doris. All right. Let me just do the quick vote. It's not going to take long. Okay. All in favor of the presentation for the approval of the 25-26 bulk property insurance policy, say it.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried.
All right.
Okay, Doris.
Doris Wente, Highgate D president. They're still working on looking at the roofs, is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you, Louis.
All right. Okay, we're ready for good and welfare.
I have a couple things while others are coming to the microphone. So the two separate items. One, just, my thanks again to USI, to the insurance committee, and most certainly to Ray, for everything that Ray is doing and has done in this community. It's incredible, and I can't speak to everything that's in flight, but he's got a number of initiatives going, including the insurance agency, that are going to make some significant money for this community over time. So I've said, half jokingly, but half seriously, when Ray's term is up a year from now, we ought to be putting his name on one of these buildings, because he has really done a spectacular job, and I mean that sincerely. The other item on the insurance thing is, this is stating the obvious. To those of you that are board members that are here, of your associations, windfalls like this don't come along very often. So we do not recommend to associations what they should do, but please, if you're on your boards, consider very carefully what you're going to do with this money, because it's not wildly likely that you're going to see anything like this again. I can tell you in our association, my very strong recommendation is to put it to pattern and coverage, because it's going to cover about 60 to 70% of that total cost. So that means we don't have to raise people's rates in the next 2 years to pay for the pattern and coverage upgrades. So that was the first thing, is just please think carefully, because you're not going to get opportunities like this very often. The second thing is, I see one person in the room that talked to me at the training yesterday, and I had a couple others ask about Zoom capability, the ability to do a hybrid Zoom meeting. And I asked Matt about it, and right now we don't have that capability. So one of my last official acts on the RFEC will be to request that committee consider going forward what it would cost and what the benefits would be of adding the ability to set up at least a couple of these conference rooms to handle Zoom meetings. And we'll see how that goes going forward.
Okay, thanks, Richard. Eileen?
We're not telling anybody about this. Just put it away.
hear me now? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm Eileen Pico, and I'm a resident here, and I'm speaking to you this morning, though, as the Assistant Chief of Public Relations for the Sun City Center Emergency Squad. The Emergency Squad Chief, Mike Bardell, asked that I address the Federation Board this morning. Unfortunately, he had to work the night shift last night as a driver, so he couldn't be here this morning. Or if he was, he didn't think he'd be able to say anything that made sense after being up all night driving the ambulance. So first, I want to thank you to the Kings Point Board and community for your ongoing support of the Sun City Center Emergency Squad. Your support and generosity enables the squad to continue to provide basic emergency services and support to Kings Point. As promised in his previous remarks, Mike has been actively pursuing similar funding commitments from the Sun City Center community. In fact, there is an article on the front page of the Observer this week, if you didn't see it,
Two articles.
about this very subject. The squad will be circulating a petition in Sun City Center soliciting support to add a fee to the Sun City Center CA annual dues to ensure that continued services of the squad are not in jeopardy. Mike is asking that Kings Point residents continue to support the squad by asking their friends in Sun City Center to sign the petition to the Sun City Center CA that they add this funding in their annual dues. Again, Mike apologizes that he can't be here this morning himself, and thanks Kings Point for your ongoing support to the emergency squad. And we would love to have your participation as squad members. The Observer article provides a lot of information about the volunteer opportunities that are available, and we'd love to have you join up. There's a lot of information in this article this week in the Observer that you might find interesting about the things that are available to do, and it isn't just riding the ambulance. There's all kinds of activities and things that people can engage in, and it's another big family. That's all I had. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily. And as in our previous meetings, in regards to the squad, the majority of King Point residents value the squad services immensely, and we begin our contributions from all the associations starting in April. So thank you for representing the squad, Eileen, and for filling in for Mike today. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, with that being said, can I have someone move a motion to adjourn? Oh, I heard that, Tom. Thank you, Jim. All right, everyone, thank you so much for your attendance. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.